Good morning, good afternoon, good evening all over the world. Dobson 777A here. We've got an interesting show today. I thought I would start with this chart that I had put together on 4/8, where it's a 30-year Treasury yield. And I was able to get this from macrotrends.net. And this goes all the way back to before 1980. And I was pointing out that this is a chart that a lot of people follow. And you can see that the yield has been dropping significantly over this whole, or the interest rates have been dropping significantly over this whole time period. And we were reaching the top, and you can see that there's a cycle here. Kind of goes up and then down, but it's banging these rails. But at the same time, there's these periods of time where it appears to be hitting a different point that I've highlighted in red. And it appeared to me that there might have been a trend where this would be the high point of gold, and then this would be the low point, and then it would start going up again. That's the way this would work. So the question is on 4/8, were we going to break through this barrier and go in a different trend than what we had in the past, or were we going to break down? And I was suggesting that I felt that we were going to break down. Now the other thing is, you can notice the width of this is tightening up. So it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And this is the predicted pattern that we're going to have over this time period. So what happened since the 8th? Well, lo and behold, this is kind of a magnified view, but you can see we bounced off the top and am falling like in the past. We've seen this a number of times, and this can fall pretty substantially. So the question is gold going to go up? Silver, platinum, and it actually has been since this point. So we're going to look at some of the charts now and kind of follow and see how this pans out. So here's a shorter period of time, and I was trying to show that we have kind of a wedge pattern here, but what I've done is I've kind of drawn a line here where we've tested this lower limit around 1680 roughly. And we've tested it twice and bounced off, and now we have a pretty significant jump coming off of this low point here. So the question is, are we going to break out of this almost like a pennant pattern here now? Is this going to, go on a nice merry way? I mean, some people are predicting 2200 or more. So I don't know. It kind of looks like that may be the case. I'm not sure. Here is the infamous chart, which I need to spend a little bit more time. I just did this quick and dirty today, but I need to line this back up in this channel properly. But I was kind of trying to line this 50-week moving average off the bottom here. But you can see we busted completely through the bottom of the chart here. And this is the pitchfork chart that I've been using. But you can notice it's trying to crawl back up. So is this going to bounce off of this line and start heading back up, and we're going to see this getting back into the green channel? I think we may see some significant improvement in this chart. We'll see. Now, when we look at since the beginning of this recent bull market, which was back September, October 2018, I've kind of overlaid everything so we can see what's going on. And the bottom is TLT. This is the 20-year Treasury bond. It's an ETF. And you can see this has bottomed and started going up just at the same time that I was showing that we were bouncing off of that other chart. SPY, so this is at 18% over this time period, which is fantastic for a bond, truthfully. And then we have SPY is at 43%, again without dividends. This is just the ETF. And then gold is at 50%. Platinum is at 53%. And silver is at 88.7%. And you can see silver's been trading in a pretty tight range here. So I don't know if we're going to see a breakout or not, but it obviously has to get up to this point, which is 27. It's got to get past about $27 to $28, it looks like. This point up here is $28, yeah. So about 27 would be a good point right there to see if we're going to bust past that and continue. But platinum is following, surprisingly, SPY. It's got very similar angle of attack here. You look at that angle, it's actually recently taken off faster than SPY. So it's going to be curious to watch this to see how it continues. All right, let's look at our various ETFs representing our physicals. So year to date, GLD is trying to climb out of the gutter, and it's down 5.73. Platinum is up 13.58. Silver is just basically broken even for the year. Res is at 18.61, and that's my residential real estate that I'm using as a proxy for the physicals that I hold. So that one's doing fantastic for the year. We're not even halfway through the year, and we're at almost 19%. That's fantastic. With the percentage of the portfolio I have set up right now, up 13% for the year, which is a fantastic return for the year. We jump up here to the ETF miners. Today we're up 2.35 with the junior silver miners leading, with the large silver miners following, and then both the explorers and junior gold doing very well. If you look at the improved portfolio, it was up 3% today, and it's actually broke even for the year, so it's outperforming the ETF miners as it should. And we had one position, CXBMF, was up 8.92. And I got to go track this one down. I just noticed this one. It looks like we had a symbol change, so I got to go figure out what happened with that one. And it looks like we had SAND was up 3.42, MMX 3.41. Got to come down here. AUI 3.34, SBSW 3.77, and AG was up 4.32. So far year to date, AG is still leading. 23.94, and we're up 3.79 for the year here. On my portfolio, now remember, this is a live portfolio, so this has been going on for like a year and a half or something. And this thing's up 40%, and today's 2.95. We look at John's portfolio. This was not reset at the beginning of the year, I believe, and we're up 26%, so this is the beginning of last year. I still got to reset this. But he's got a few really good positions here. One was up 5.29, 4.56, 4.95, 4.47, and you can see they're sprinkled in mine as well. So that whole thing's looking fantastic. Now, some of you across the country are probably noticing, or at least in the middle part of the country, some significant cold that's coming through. In fact, we're dropping from roughly 60 degrees to 34 tonight, and I've had a cousin in Illinois reported they were getting 1 to 2 inches of snow. And this is supposed to go all the way down to Texas again, and they were asking Texas to start conserving energy because it looks like they're going to be having some issues, just like what happened a month or so ago. So this is scary. All these are record-breaking temperatures that are occurring here. Everybody wants to call global cooling, like grand solar minimum, whatever. I don't know. I think the jury's still out that this is any evidence of this, but I got a lot of dang plants in the ground. In fact, I looked out there the other day, my cucumber plants, I didn't get them covered, and they were hurt. So I put some covers on them, and I've got some beans already coming up. I think I'm early, which is aggravating. I really got to wait till May for the best chance, but I kind of thought we were close enough. So I always give it a shot each year, and sometimes I make it, sometimes I don't. But I have not planted any of my bell peppers or tomatoes. They're in the greenhouse doing great, and I'm going to throw some videos at the end of this so that you can see the progress of that. JP Morgan is fearing a major correction in crypto again. In fact, they're suggesting it could be a 50% retracement. Somewhere in here I read this. We could pull back 20 to 30,000, which would be a 50% decline. Anybody notice each of these countries are either planning on banning crypto or they're coming up with their own cryptocurrency. So Britain is now, or the UK are coming up with something called a BritCoin. Do you think they're going to want competition? No, they're not going to want competition. So, I don't know how much time you got left with Bitcoin before it's going to be completely not allowed for transactions, but the writing's on the wall, folks, so I hope you're paying attention. I want to show some inflation-related stuff. Sorry I didn't have this right. Companies are freaking out about soaring costs and rushing to pass them on to customers. So we got Procter and Gamble, which last year, a lot of the stuff was made in CCP, if you remember, and it was they couldn't get all the raw ingredients, and we had massive shortages of all these. I mean, I forget there's thousands of brands under P&G. Kimberly Clark and even Coca-Cola have discussed lifting prices because they're not going to eat these increases for any substantial length of time. So this is coming. This is coming. Inflation, folks. That's what that's going to be. Massive price increases. Let's see. And here's the article about Coca-Cola set to rise. The price is set to rise amid soaring cost pressures. A lot of you have recognized that we are having a problem with home materials, house building materials, and lumber is a massive increase. So we've seen a lot of these starting, I think it was around October. And so there was an article on Zero Hedge about this, and it's actually quite amazing, this vertical leap that's occurred here. It actually was coming up in something, and then it collapsed, and some plants were shut down, and now it's just launched like to the moon. But a lot of this was when all of the stimulus checks started coming in. So people were releasing money, and it is creating some significant problems. And we also had a lot of the rioting and everything else, and people are getting the crap out of the cities. So anyways, that's kind of the report for the day. Take a look at the back where I'll show some of the garden and progress that we're making.
All right, it's that time of year to break out the rototiller. And there's a couple things I went through. First off, luckily last year, I ran this thing completely out of gas. So when I filled it up, it started right up, no problem. But another interesting thing you need to be aware of, these tires, the tire pressure is pretty critical. And I'll show you something down here. Last year I ran them, and there's actually a note here that says, make sure the pressure is 25 to 30 psi to avoid tire damage. Well, if you notice the hole here by the valve stem is kind of enlarged. Well, what happens if the tire pressure is not high enough? This equipment is so heavy, and the wheel will slip on the rim, and it'll actually pull that stem inside. Just a mistake on my part, didn't think about unintended consequences of low tire pressure, but fortunately the rim wasn't damaged bad enough. And all you do is you let the pressure out, so that, because there's an inner tube inside, and that's what's slipping. The inner tube will slip, and so what you can do is just kind of slide the inner tube back into place, carefully put some pressure up. So this morning I got the pressure up to 30 psi. And I was very pleased the way this thing started right up. Now, I'm just a few weeks late from when I normally am rototilling, so I've noticed there's a whole bunch of grass over there, so I'll show you when I get over there. But I've got a little bit of a trek to get this equipment over there. And what I'm going to do then is rototill the grass, and then I just rake the grass down the hill. And then I go back and rototill the soil a little bit more. And it works fantastic. So anyways, this is a Home Depot special. I don't remember what I paid. I did a video last year that talked about this, but it's a PowerMate. And this is actually a fantastic machine. I wish these handles were a little beefier, that's all, because when you're trying to horse this thing around a turn or something, it seems a little spindly. But otherwise, this is a workhorse. It's fantastic for like small homeowners where you're working on stuff. This is meant for like an open field. You can't really do it in a raised bed, so I've got my small electric one for the raised beds. All right, let me get over there and get to work. Okay, it took quite a bit of work, but I've got my 4 rows exposed that I developed last year, and you can see it's a terrace as it goes down. I'm probably going to put one more terrace down at the lowest level there. That'll take quite a bit of work to get that kind of leveled out into rows like I've got here, but I've still got to come in here and rake all the grass out. But I think this is it for today. This is about an hour and a half worth of work. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and potentially start planting. I've got a bunch of summer squash that's ready. Might be a little bit too early for that, but we'll see.
Now here's an image from way up on high, so you can see the large area that I've rototilled, and that's my lower garden that I do all kinds of Three Sisters planting and such. But It'll be fantastic this year, just like last. It looked like Vietnam last year as much as that grew up. Word to the wise, if you go try to turn off your rototiller, do not put your hand on the exhaust manifold or you'll get a nice Reed & Prince burn spot as well as a nice circle. That's a reminder of be very careful when you're dealing with very hot engines where you put your hand. And I was just leaning over to hit the switch and just wasn't paying attention where I was putting my hand.
Well, I've got some cold nights coming, and I picked up these sweet potato slips about a week ago, and I've been holding them in the greenhouse because we have, I think, the last cold snaps coming through this week, and then I'm thinking the beginning of May I'm going to start putting in all my tomatoes and everything. But you can see I've transplanted my beefsteak tomatoes into larger pots, and I had pinched the tops, and they've actually grown like crazy since I've transplanted them. I've got some more over here. Some of these are cherry tomatoes and eggplants and stuff, so I've got to transfer those here real soon. I have a couple gladiolas starting to peak up, and then these are some more wildflowers and some morning glories. Oh geez, the morning glories are hitting up. I got to take the top off of this. That just happened really quick. These plants grow super big, so we'll see what they how they go. Let me get this over here. Those were big seeds. Let me see what's going on in here. Yeah, this one must have been a batch of seeds because that was a whole bunch of wildflowers again, and they didn't come out all. Must have been a bad package. But here's a whole bunch of morning glories. Now these are massively large plants. I forget what it said, like 6 to 8 feet tall, that they'll grow like a vining plant. So I'm going to plant these all around the yard. And depending on how cold the climate is, they can be actual perennials. So we'll see if they survive here or not. Anyways, I've already planted a bunch of wildflowers, and these are kind of like some of the other ones that I need to get in the ground. I still got to plant a whole bunch of squash and watermelons and stuff like that, but it's just a little too cold. In fact, my corn is going to go in the ground probably this week too.
How about a few garden picks? Here's some roses, dogwood, azaleas, and my Doug, lazy dog. He's so happy. I hope everybody's treating you well. I hope you're doing well. Do the best you can. God bless.
All right, go potty. We gonna go bye-bye? Are we gonna go bye-bye? Are we gonna go bye-bye? Yeah. We gonna go bye-bye? Yeah, all right. You going to get in the car? We're not quite ready. I'm almost ready. You almost ready? Okay.